Destroyers are the workhorses of modern naval warfare. But here's the thing, not all destroyers are created equal. Today, we're ranking 10 of the world's most powerful warships from weakest to strongest, based on firepower, technology, and combat capability. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can we fairly compare ships from different countries with different missions? Well, we've dug deep into specifications, weapon systems, and real-world performance to create this definitive list. And stick around to the end because we're answering the most popular questions you've been asking about these incredible machines. 10th one, Russia's Udalloy II class destroyers. Coming in at number 10, we have Russia's Udalloy II class. These are Cold War relics that simply can't keep up with modern designs. Built mainly in the 1980s, 7 of these ships are still floating around in the Russian fleet, and honestly, they show their age. Picture this. These destroyers weigh about 8,000 tons fully loaded and stretch 163 meters long. 2 gas turbine plants push them to 29 knots. That's decent speed. They can also travel about 7,700 nautical miles before needing fuel. On paper, not bad, right? But here's where it falls apart. Their weapons are seriously outdated. These ships were designed as submarine hunters, so they carry RBU 6000 rocket launchers and torpedo tubes. For air defense, they have the Kinjal missile system, which uses technology from when the Soviet Union still existed. They also carry 2 Ka-27 helicopters for hunting subs. And that's basically it. Modern destroyers have vertical launch systems that can fire dozens of different missiles. The Udalloy class? They're stuck with old box launchers that can only fire one type of missile each. Their radar systems are ancient. Their electronics date back to the Reagan era, and they have almost zero stealth features. Here's the bottom line. These ships are tough and can handle rough seas, but they can't compete with modern destroyers that need to handle air defense, surface combat, submarine hunting, and land attack all at once. The Udalloy class can really only hunt submarines. That's why they're sitting at the bottom of our list. 9th one, India's Kolkata class destroyers. Moving up to number 9, we have India's Kolkata class destroyers. These ships show India's push to build its own modern warships. 3 ships make up this class, and they were all commissioned between 2014 and 2016. Each Kolkata-class destroyer is 163 meters long and weighs about 6,800 tons. That makes them smaller than most ships on this list. And in naval warfare, size matters because bigger ships carry more weapons. They use gas turbines and diesel engines to hit 30 knots. But here's where things get interesting. These ships carry 16 BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles. And BrahMos is no joke. It travels at Mach 2.5 to 2.8. That's incredibly fast. It can hit targets up to 290 kilometers away. Very few anti-ship missiles in the world can match that speed. For air defense, they have about 32 Barak 8 missiles. They also have a 130-millimeter gun, 4 close-in weapon systems that fire 5,000 rounds per minute, torpedo tubes, and anti-submarine rockets. The sensors are impressive, too. They use French and Israeli radar systems, plus advanced sonar for hunting submarines. The flight deck can handle 2 helicopters. So why rank them 9th? Simple. They just don't carry enough missiles. 16 BrahMos and 32 air defense missiles sounds like a lot until you're in a real fight. Modern naval combat can involve hundreds of missiles. These ships would run out of ammunition fast. They also lack long-range air defense missiles like American or Japanese destroyers carry. They're good ships that punch above their weight, but they can't match the firepower of larger destroyers. If you're enjoying this breakdown and want to see more military content, hit that subscribe button right now. Eighth one, Australia's Hobart-class air warfare destroyers. At number 8, we have Australia's Hobart-class destroyers. These ships combine American technology with European design, and the result is pretty impressive. 3 ships entered service between 2017 and 2020. Each ship weighs about 7,000 tons and is 146.7 meters long. They can reach speeds over 28 knots and travel 5,000 nautical miles. They use a combination of gas turbines and diesel engines, and they only need 186 sailors to operate. The main weapon system is a 48-cell vertical launch system. Now, 48 cells might not sound like much, but these cells can be quad-packed with smaller missiles, so one cell can hold 4 missiles. That means they're actually carrying way more than 48 missiles total. They fire SM-2 air defense missiles and evolved Sea Sparrow missiles. They're also replacing their old Harpoon anti-ship missiles with new naval strike missiles that have double the range. They also carry a 127mm gun, torpedoes, a phalanx close-in weapon system, and smaller guns for close-range threats. The flight deck has room for one MH-60R helicopter. The sensors are where these ships really shine. They use the American Aegis system with SPY-1D radar. This is the same radar system that American destroyers use. They also have advanced sonar and electronic warfare systems. Here's the exciting part. In 2024, these ships fired SM-6 extended-range missiles and Tomahawk cruise missiles for the first time. That dramatically increases their combat range. So why only 8th place? Magazine depth. 48 vertical launch cells just aren't enough for sustained combat against a peer adversary. If an enemy launches a massive missile attack, these ships would run out of interceptors. They're excellent ships for Australia's needs, but they simply can't match the larger magazines on destroyers ranked above them. 7th one, China's Type 05 2D Luoyang III destroyers. Now we're getting into the serious players. At number 7 is China's Type 052D destroyer. And here's what makes it significant. Over 25 of these ships are in service right now, with more being built. That makes it the most numerous modern destroyer class in the entire world. Each Type 052D weighs about 7,500 tons and is 157 meters long. Some newer versions are even longer at 161 meters. They use gas turbines and diesel engines to hit 30 knots. About 280 sailors operate each ship. The main weapon is a 64-cell universal vertical launch system. And universal is the key word here. Unlike older Chinese destroyers that had separate launchers for different missiles, this system can fire air defense missiles, anti-ship missiles, land attack missiles, and anti-submarine rockets, all from the same launcher. That's a huge leap forward. They carry HHQ-9 long-range air defense missiles, YJ-18 supersonic anti-ship missiles, and anti-submarine weapons. They also have a 130mm gun, point defense missiles, close-in weapon systems, and torpedo tubes. The sensors include the H/LJG-346A Dragon Eye radar. This is China's version of the American Aegis system. They also have multiple search radars and advanced sonar. The newer extended version has a longer flight deck that can handle China's new Z-20 helicopter. This shows that China is constantly improving these ships based on operational experience. Here's why the Type 052D matters. It's China's first destroyer that can truly handle multiple missions at once, just like Western destroyers. And they're building them fast, really fast. But the 64-cell magazine is still smaller than American, Japanese, or South Korean destroyers. And they don't have super long-range air defense missiles yet. Still, the sheer numbers and continuous upgrades make these ships a serious force in the Pacific. That earns them 7th place. 6th one, United Kingdom's Type 45 Daring-class destroyers. At number 6, we have Britain's Type 45 destroyers. And these ships are widely considered among the best air defense destroyers in the world. 6 ships were commissioned between 2009 and 2013. Each ship weighs about 7,350 tons and is 152 meters long. They can sustain 30 knots and travel an impressive 7,000 nautical miles. That's exceptional range. What makes them unique is their electric propulsion system. They use gas turbines and diesel generators to create electricity, which then powers electric motors. This makes them quieter and more fuel efficient. Though, to be honest, the power system has had reliability problems that the Royal Navy is still fixing. The main weapon is the Sea Viper missile system. They have 48 launch cells for Aster 15 and Aster 30 missiles. These provide excellent air defense and even some ballistic missile defense capability. According to the Royal Navy, Sea Viper can launch 8 missiles in under 10 seconds and guide 16 missiles at the same time. That's incredibly fast reaction time. But here's the weak spot. Anti-ship capability is limited. They used to carry Harpoon missiles, but those have been retired. Now they mainly rely on their 4.5-inch gun for surface targets. They have a phalanx close-in weapon system and smaller guns, but no major anti-ship missiles. They also lack land attack cruise missiles. The real star of the show is the Samson radar. It's that distinctive round dome you see on top of the mast. This radar can detect and track threats over 250 miles away while doing multiple tasks simultaneously. Combined with their other radar systems, they have amazing situational awareness. Recent upgrades include adding Sea Scepter missiles for better point defense and new generators to fix the power problems. The Type 45 ranks 6th because while it's fantastic at air defense, it lacks the multi-mission flexibility of higher-ranked destroyers. No land attack missiles, modest magazine size, and limited anti-ship weapons hold it back. But for protecting aircraft carriers from air threats, it's one of the best in the world. 5th one, Japan's Atago-class destroyers. Coming in at number 5 is Japan's Atago class. Only 2 of these ships exist, but they pack a serious punch. These are enlarged versions of Japan's earlier Kongo-class destroyers and use American Aegis technology. Each ship weighs about 10,000 tons and is 165 meters long. 4 gas turbines produce 100,000 shaft horsepower, pushing them to 30 knots. About 300 sailors operate each vessel. Here's where it gets good. They have 96 vertical launch cells. That's double what the Australian Hobart class carries. 64 cells are up front and 32 are in the back. These cells fire SM-2 air defense missiles, SM-3 ballistic missile interceptors, and anti-submarine rockets. They also have 8 launchers for Type 90 anti-ship missiles, a 127mm gun, phalanx systems, torpedo tubes, and electronic countermeasures. The flight deck holds one SH-60K helicopter. The combat system uses Aegis Baseline 7.1 with SPY-1D radar, but both ships were later upgraded to Baseline 9C. This upgrade lets them fire SM-3 ballistic missile interceptors. That gives Japan the ability to shoot down ballistic missiles from ships at sea. That's a critical capability given threats from North Korea. The design also includes stealth features. The mast has a plain structure and the smokestack is modified to reduce radar reflection. The hull is longer than older Japanese destroyers, which creates room for the helicopter hangar and more missiles. So why 5th place instead of higher? 2 reasons. First, there are only 2 ships total. Second, while they're excellent at air defense and ballistic missile defense, they lack the massive magazines and long-range land attack missiles that top-ranked destroyers carry. But within their designed mission, they're absolutely formidable. 4th one, United States Arleigh Burke class destroyers. At number 4 is America's Arleigh Burke class. This has been the backbone of the U.S. Navy since 1991. Over 70 ships are in service, making it the most numerous class of modern destroyers in any Western Navy. These ships weigh between 8,230 and 9,500 tons, depending on which version. They're 154 to 155 meters long. 4 gas turbines drive them to over 30 knots. About 300 sailors crew each ship. The weapons are centered on 96 vertical launch cells. These can fire Tomahawk cruise missiles for land attack, SM-2 and SM-6 air defense missiles, SM-3 ballistic missile interceptors, evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, and anti-submarine rockets. They also have a 5-inch gun, phalanx systems, and torpedo tubes. Later versions have hangars for 2 MH-60R helicopters. The sensors include SPY-1D radar and advanced sonar. The Aegis combat system ties everything together, letting these ships engage multiple air, surface, and underwater targets at the same time. But here's what's exciting. The newest Flight 3 ships have revolutionary upgrades. USS Ted Stevens has the new SPY-6 radar and Aegis Baseline 10 combat system. SPY-6 is dramatically more sensitive than older radars. It can detect stealth aircraft, hypersonic missiles, and ballistic missiles that earlier radars would miss. Flight 3 ships also have much more electrical power for future weapons like lasers. The Arleigh Burke class ranks 4th because it combines proven reliability with continuous upgrades. These ships have seen real combat in the Persian Gulf, anti-piracy operations, ballistic missile defense tests, and countless other missions. They work, and they keep getting better. But the 96-cell magazine is smaller than destroyers ranked above it, and the steel hull isn't as stealthy as newer designs. Still, no other destroyer class has proven itself in as many real-world scenarios. That's worth a lot. 3rd one, South Korea's Sejong the Great class destroyers. At number 3 is South Korea's Sejong the Great class. And honestly, calling these destroyers is almost misleading. They're so big that many people call them cruisers instead. These ships have a standard displacement of 8,500 tons, but can reach 11,000 tons fully loaded. That makes them some of the largest destroyers on Earth. They're 166 meters long and can hit 30 knots. 4 gas turbines produce 75,000 kilowatts. About 300 sailors crew each ship. Now let me tell you about the weapons. These ships carry 128 missile cells. Let me repeat that. 128. 80 cells are Mark 41 vertical launch systems that fire SM-2 air defense missiles. 48 cells are Korean KVLS that fire anti-submarine rockets and Hyunmoo 3 land attack cruise missiles. On top of all that, they have 16 Hwasong anti-ship missiles mounted on the superstructure. They also carry a 127mm gun, goalkeeper close-in weapon systems, rolling airframe missiles, torpedo tubes, and 2 helicopters. The sensors use American Aegis Baseline 7 with SPY-1D radar, plus hull-mounted and towed array sonars. They have advanced electronic warfare systems too. That massive missile load means these ships can handle air defense, strike missions, and anti-submarine warfare all at the same time without running out of ammunition quickly. Analysts note these ships are larger and heavier than American Arleigh Burke destroyers. That's why people debate whether to call them cruisers. The only real downside is that South Korea only built 3 of them. They're incredibly expensive to build and operate. But for sheer firepower and magazine depth, they're among the most heavily armed surface warships in existence. That easily justifies 3rd place. Second one, China's Type 055 Renhai class destroyers. At number 2 is China's Type 055 class. These ships are so big that the U.S. Navy officially classifies them as cruisers, not destroyers. And for good reason. Each ship weighs between 12,000 and 13,000 tons. They're 180 meters long. 4 gas turbines produce 112 megawatts of power, pushing them to 30 knots with a 5,000 nautical mile range. About 300 personnel operate each ship. The main weapon is a 112-cell universal vertical launch system. 64 cells are forward, 48 are aft. These cells can launch air defense missiles, anti-ship cruise missiles, land attack cruise missiles, and anti-submarine rockets. But here's what makes them truly dangerous. Reports suggest these ships can fire YJ-21 hypersonic anti-ship ballistic missiles. No other destroyer in the world has that capability. Hypersonic missiles travel at over 5 times the speed of sound and are extremely difficult to intercept. This gives China a unique anti-carrier weapon. They also carry a 130mm gun, close-in weapon systems, point defense missiles, torpedo tubes, and 2 helicopters. The sensors feature the Type 346B Dragon Eye dual-band radar. This provides coverage out to hundreds of kilometers in all directions. They also have advanced electronic warfare systems. As a multi-mission platform, Type 055ES can handle air defense, surface strikes, and anti-submarine warfare at the level of Western cruisers. The large hull also has room for future weapons like railguns or laser systems. Only a handful are operational now, but more are under construction. The combination of 112 launch cells, comprehensive sensors, hypersonic missile capability, and room for future growth puts them firmly in 2nd place. These ships represent China's arrival as a true naval superpower. They pose a genuine challenge to American naval dominance in the Western Pacific. Only one destroyer surpasses them, and it's unlike anything else in the world. First one, United States Zumwalt class destroyers. At the very top, in 1st place, is the United States Zumwalt class. This is the most technologically advanced warship ever built. Period. Only 3 of these ships exist. Each is about 186 meters long and weighs nearly 16,000 tons. That makes them bigger than many cruisers. The design is absolutely wild. The hull slopes inward instead of outward. This tumble-home design dramatically reduces radar reflection. The entire superstructure is made of composite materials with low-signature antennas. The result? The radar cross-section is similar to a small fishing boat, despite being as large as a World War II cruiser. That's stealth on a level no other destroyer achieves. The propulsion system is revolutionary. It's all electric. Gas turbines generate electricity, which then powers electric motors. This produces 78 megawatts of power total. That gives them 30-knot speed, incredibly quiet operation, and 58 megawatts of reserve power for future high-energy weapons like lasers or railguns. Originally, these ships were designed for shore bombardment with 155-millimeter guns. But those guns are being replaced with something far more powerful. 4 large missile tubes, each holding 3 common hypersonic glide bodies. Installation finishes in 2027. When complete, these ships will carry hypersonic missiles that can hit targets thousands of kilometers away in minutes. No other destroyer will have anything close to that strike capability. They also have Mark 57 vertical launch systems positioned along the sides of the hull. This distributed design means battle damage to one section doesn't knock out all the missiles. These cells fire Tomahawk cruise missiles, Standard missiles, and evolved Sea Sparrow missiles. They also have a 57-millimeter gun. The sensors include dual-band radar that combines volume search and multifunction radar in one system. The sonar system integrates hull-mounted, high-frequency, and towed array sensors for exceptional anti-submarine capability. Here's something crazy. These massive warships only need 197 sailors. That's half what traditional destroyers need. Extensive automation makes that possible. That wraps up our ranking, but let's answer your top questions. First, why is the Zumwalt class considered the most advanced? The U.S. Navy calls it the largest and most technologically advanced surface combatant in the world. Its integrated electric power system supports propulsion, ship systems, and future high-energy weapons. The wave-piercing hull gives it stealth that's unmatched. Automation cuts crew size in half. And hypersonic missile integration sets it apart from everything else. Second, why do people call China's Type 055 a cruiser? Because it's 180 meters long and weighs 12,000 to 14,000 tons. That's heavy cruiser size from World War II. Each ship has 4 large radar arrays, providing 360-degree coverage. With 112 to 128 launch cells, the U.S. Department of Defense officially classifies them as cruisers based on size and capability. Finally, what makes South Korea's Sejong the Great Class special? It weighs 11,000 tons fully loaded, bigger than most destroyers. It carries 128 vertical launch cells compared to 96 on American destroyers. That makes it one of the most heavily armed surface warships ever built. Many analysts argue it should be classified as a cruiser because of its size and firepower. These 10 destroyers represent the absolute pinnacle of naval engineering. Understanding them gives you insight into the global naval power balance.